I drank pots and pots and pots and pots of strong black coffee, trying to keep my sleepy soul awake. But the sleepiness still comes along, and when it does, it's fast and strong. I end up with a bad case of the shakes.
Good morning and welcome back to Tactics Talk, Coffee Talk with Guido. I've got my coffee right here. The fruity mug this time, some kind of basic Folgers, I don't know what it was, but I've got my hazelnut in there, so it is all good. I am transmitting from the eye of Hurricane Irma this morning. No, I'm just kidding. I'm off to the west side over here in Panama City, so hopefully that thing passes to the east. Although keep all the people that it is pummeling in your thoughts and prayers if that is something that you do. I'm going to keep it kind of quick because I am busy picking up stuff in my yard so it doesn't fly through my window, through my neighbor's window, or through my neighbor. So we will talk about Chinese TDs. I'm going to give you a quick overview on how I've been doing with those. I'm up to Tier 9. We'll talk about the missions as always and some of the silliness in there. There are some specials you probably want to be aware of to take a look at if you're still buying premium tanks, premium time, and such from the store. And we will end with the chicanery of the week, sort of. Let's get started. All right, out to shoot with the Chinese TDs. Chinese TDs overall. I started at, you can see it right here, the Tier 5. I free XP'd to that, and then I bought all of the modules. So I played full up with that tank, and then I ground through there without using any free XP. I did that again with the 6 and the 7. When I got to the 8, I didn't have quite enough for the upgraded gun. So on the 8, I actually ground through to the upgraded gun. On the 9, I'm currently on that, but I had to grind the tracks, and now I'm grinding the big gun on the 9. Probably about nearly 300,000 experience total between the gun and just to get the Tier 10. So that's where I am on those. Going back to the Tier 6, I'll just characterize these things. You'll notice that I don't have any crew in any of them because what I've done is I've taken the same crew through to the end, but we'll see how things have gone. This one is kind of interesting. It's got a great gun for a Tier 5 TD. Quite a bit of pen, hits pretty hard. I won't get into all the numbers right here. I'm just making a general overview of these things. But you can see that it is a giant box. It's like the Su-100Y of Tier 5. So you are a big, relatively slow, it's got okay maneuverability, but you're a big, relatively slow gun. Glass cannon kind of idea out there, so it is okay. Not great on the camo. When you get to the 6, it becomes a much lower silhouette. Actually, let's dodge back here real quick. I'll show you how I did with this thing, bringing up the statistics. You can see that I fought 17 battles, so it took me 17 battles to go from fully upgraded modules to the next tank. I had a 65% win rate. I have to come over here, such things as 2.33 on the damage, 2.56 on the destruction. You can see that the armor use efficiency was 0.02. So yes, it does not have much armor in there. Average 733 damage and took 314. You can see some of the other numbers in there. So did okay with that tank. Did okay with that tank. So we'll move on to the 6. You can see once again, like I said just a moment ago, that it's got a much lower silhouette right there. It starts to look more like a Su-122-44 kind of idea, which is more or less what it's a copy of. This is on, if you look at it, you can see it's a WZ-131, and then the next guy is a T-34, and the Tier 8 is a WC-111. You'll see what they did there, right? They used the chassis, essentially, of that tank and then made a casemate TD out of it. These are almost probably purely made-up tanks. They came from, what I understand, the Chinese cluster. So the Zhugang or whatever they are made these things. Whether they have any kind of actual basis in historical accuracy whatsoever, I could not tell you. If there is a napkin somewhere stored with a drawing on it, don't know. Are there actual drawings that they plan to use? The Chinese don't know. This is what we got though. Anywho, so this thing is running around with the what is essentially the Type 59 gun. It's got a 250 alpha at Tier 6, which is pretty good. With a 7.5 rate of fire, it actually fires fairly quickly. Has almost no armor, however. This one was a bit of a problem for me. I have a recording of a Twitch stream I did where I played almost exclusively this tank, and towards pretty much the whole time, it was one of the worst sessions in World of Tanks I've ever had. You'll notice that I had a 40% win rate in 25 battles. So it took me 25 battles on this one to get to the next tank, and that is from fully upgraded at the start because I still had enough free experience. So that was a bit of a rough one. 67% hits. I've still had a 2.11 damage ratio. Pretty bad destruction, 1.22, and you'll see that the armor is way down there. So even this thing with the highly sloped armor, it was very thin, and at that tier it got ate up pretty quick. 984 on damage and 466 taken, so you can see that I did rather poorly with that one, but we got through it. So it's relatively mobile, hits pretty well, so it really wants to hide it. It has a bit of a schizophrenic personality because it kind of wants to be an assault TD based on the accuracy is not great on the gun, and it is relatively mobile, and it looks like it might have that armor. The tier 8 is or the tier 7 is a lot the same. So it's also going to have a bit of a schizophrenic personality. You can see that it looks like it's maybe even just a little bit lower, even though it's on the T-34 chassis. The armor's a little bit better, and it's actually got the 390 alpha gun. So if you look at that on the top gun, it's rolling around with that 122 390 alpha gun, which is pretty nice. But the armor is so bad. Because again, it wants to be an assault TD like a 122-44, but it really can't. It's got the gun for it. You need to get close because of the accuracy, but it just doesn't have much armor. If you take a look at it though, 62%. It took me 29 battles to get through that one from fully upgraded to the next tank. The damage and destruction ratio, you can see, were much better. I rolled at 62%, so I'm going to probably have better stats there. You can see the armor use is coming up, so there is some armor there, but it's only 0.32. Averaging 1,400 damage and 565 received. So not too bad. Then you roll into the tier 8, and at tier 8, this is where the armor starts to come in on these. So from 7 and below, not a lot of armor on the Chinese TDs. The 7 starts to get some, but it's not even close to reliable. The tier 8 has some decent armor, especially against tier 6s and most tier 7s, quite reliable. You can see it's got that WZ-111 pike nose thing going on, based on that it is based on the WZ-111. So they start to slow down a little bit here. The 131 and the T-34 are decently zippy tanks. This guy now becomes a pondering beast, as does the tier 9. So enough to get going, more on the probably about a Su-152, an ISU-152 kind of mobility, kind of idea, but a decent gun with the 390 alpha. And that's what I've got on that one. So how did I do there? I ended up with okay at 55% win rate. It took me 75 battles though to knock this one out, and that is because I did have to go through to the big gun. And there may have even been 2 guns that I had to go through, I don't remember. So this one took a little bit longer, and my victories weren't in the 60% range, so that hurt me a little bit on how many battles it was going to take me to get through this. Damage ratio and destruction ratio are up there. Win rate's probably not really commensurate with those. So I was doing things poorly as far as winning battles, and that is something you can tend to do in TDs, especially if you hang back too much, doing good damage, but not really being a factor in winning the game. Averaging at a 911 experience, which is decent. So 1,900 average damage and 799 received is okay. Not amazing, but okay. So that was an interesting tank. I didn't hate it. I did like how hard it hit, and the armor was kind of fun at times. If you had a good situation where you could just kind of bull yourself forward in assault TD mode, it actually worked out. And in that case, that is something I just kind of compared it to the ISU 152. That's where the two differ. This thing's armor is much more useful than the ISU 152's. I am currently probably about a third of the way through the WZ-111G, and it is very similar to the Tier 8 in that it really very much wants to get forward with its armor and punch people in the face. But I am not running the big gun. It eventually gets a 750 alpha gun. Right now I'm still running the same gun that was on the Tier 8, the top gun, which gets into the 560 damage. And I may have talked about the 390. Let's just back up here real quick, because the top gun is actually doing 560 alpha average damage on the Tier 8, and there's an intermediate gun that does 440. So even with the stock gun at Tier 8, you're okay. It's not amazing. You've got the 390, but once you get into the next two guns, it really starts to hit hard, and that's where it starts to shine as far as the gun goes. And again, getting back to the 9, then you roll into this thing with that 560 alpha gun from the Tier 8, the top gun on the Tier 8, which is okay. at tier 9. That's what I've been doing, and things have not been terrible with it. And we're on about a 67. I'm currently at 28 battles, 60% victory. Looking at 2,200 average damage, which is okay, not great. Average received 1,300 right there, and doing okay. As far as 1.66 and 1.93 on the destruction or damage and destruction, I would expect those to get a little bit better when I get the big gun on there and start dropping that 750 on people. So that is where I currently am on the Chinese TDs. Just a quick recap, up to about tier 7. Mostly hide kind of tanks, although the mobility of the 6 and 7 is good for endgame TD situations where you've got to push out, use your hit points, and get forward and help the team win or relocate. Once you get to the tier 8, 9, and 10, more of a big ponderous, huge gun, assault TD kind of ID. Clearly, all of the casemates can hide in the back and do their sniping thing. That's always an option for TDs, but I will tell you that the guns in general are a little bit wonky, so you're gonna be frustrated on occasion if you think you're gonna be very accurate in the sniper mode. I mean, it can be done, but don't come crying because Guido told you it would be great back there, because I'm telling you, it's not gonna be great back there. All right, let's move on to the next thing. On to the missions, which is quickly becoming probably my favorite part of Tactics Talk, Coffee Talk. Because it is a gold mine of stupid. All right, I know we've beat this one up a little bit, but I found out something. I actually started recording this section just a few minutes ago, but I had to stop because I was saying a couple things about small unit tactics, and I couldn't quite figure out what the heck was going on. And here's why. Because it says win a battle, right? And it says complete all conditions in each of 2 battles, which lead me to believe that there was more than just win a battle as a condition. But there's no indication of what that might be over here. I also noticed that these other tabs I had 8 and 10, and based on how much I play from when this whole thing started, which was back on 1 September and it goes to 2 October, I was wondering why I only had 3 of 7 of these done, but I'd done all these others so much. And I thought, well, clearly, if winning a battle, only 2 battles trips it, why have I not tripped it every single day? That makes no sense. I actually had to go back to the website and find the post on it. And I went there and dug into it and finally looked at it, and it was spelled out there, but it's not well spelled out here, as usual. You probably all know this. I didn't until about 5 minutes ago. This is for platoons. When you click on it, buried down here, it says, oh, platoon. So you've got to win 2 battles as a platoon, and because I solo so much, I've only done 3 of those over the last 8 or 10 days or whatever it's been. So just another example of how ridiculous. Why does this not say win a battle in a platoon? Oh my goodness gracious, I don't get it. Okay, so again over here, this one got me as well. I think I mentioned this kind of idea on this tab last week, but I further noticed something else. All right, so award for heroism. Earn. Receive one of the following awards, all right? And of course, they don't list them all out. Why would they? So you hover over it, and it says, all right, rewards. Earn one of the following rewards. Well, those aren't rewards. Those are awards. The rewards are down here. In addition, it says, earn one of the following rewards. Top Gun, Invader, High Caliber, Defender, Steel Wall. And more rewards, which they mean awards, which they can't even list on the drop-down. They can't make the drop-down longer, so the list can... So in order to find out exactly what the hey is going on, oh, Lord. All right, there they are. There, finally. Or, actually, this is decent. That's everything. Finally, after 3 clicks, I finally understand what is going on with that tab. Holy macaroni. Okay, the rest of this is all pretty standard down here. You can see that it goes to 2 October, so you got a lot of time. Should be able to knock that out, and you end up with these over here, some kits, an enhanced gun laying drive, and some big whatnots, and times 10. These are probably the best thing out here, the experience. 100% experience, those are good. All right, let's roll over to the missions. Looking at the missions now, and I mentioned this last week, took a guess on where 5 of 6 would be. I don't remember what I said, but clearly it would be under 2 of 6, right? And then above 1 of 6, and then we'd have 3 of 6 and 4 of 6 down here. What on earth? I'm assuming it was an accident that they actually got 3 and 4 in a row right here. So they probably would want to split those up a bit, because otherwise it's different. So, all right, 5 of 6, here we are. Let's talk about this for a minute, because it is 50,000 damage caused by allies after you destroy a track. Not assist, not stun, specifically damage caused by allies after you destroyed a track. I don't even know what to say about that. And you can do it 10 times, by the way, so 50,000. What? 500? Is that 500? 200? 250,000 track damage? No, it's times 10, so it's 500,000 track damage. Sure, you've got 10 days or so to do it, but are you kidding me? 2015, math in public. All right, 15 days to do it. Still, I play a lot, right? I do. I've only managed 2,419 track damage in all the games I've played in the last few days, ever since this thing started on the 8th, so 2 days. But at that rate, I'm not going to even trip that once. So hopefully you have done most of your tank rewards on other things, which the dailies are easy. You can see I'm at 99 of 150. 90 is the most, so why I'm actually doing it. I think there's an award potentially for getting all 150. I don't remember. You have to look that up. I know I should probably look that up for you, but I'm not that concerned about it. I'm still at 10,000 of my daily, so I don't think I've missed one yet, but I think I am. If it is a matter of you have to do them all to get the extra reward, this is going to stop most people from doing it. Even the hardcore players aren't going to do this. That's just not happening. And so we get down here, and you see that again, like I'm 99 of 150. I hate it when I say like. I just said like. I said it again. All right. This is all pretty much the same as it was. Same as it ever was. And that moves us on to the next thing. We'll hit up some of the specials and things that are going on that you can buy if you are ready to spend more of your money. All right, in case you want to spend some more of your hard-earned cash, some quick things in the specials here or in the premium shop. PayPal special pack. Realize this one's got a 15% discount on your next premium tank. You got to use PayPal to do it, but you now have a coupon. I dug around a little bit. I did not see any small print on if it limited you on what types of tanks. It said your next premium tank purchase. So if you want to get that STG guard for 15% off, go for it. Does it count on bundles, which are more expensive? Again, do a little bit of due diligence on this and dig around a bit. I wouldn't doubt it. It's Wargaming. There could be some small print in there. If you find it, drop it down in the comments. I would be curious if they were trying to pull one on that one as well. But in theory, if it's straight up, as it says, 15% off your next tank. So I bet what happens is it's 15% off the tank and not off the rest of this stuff. So the tank costs $43.99 in the case of the STG guard. Just be warned. You know how Wargaming rolls with these things. The hard sell is on. The STG is in the shop, but it's only 21 days, fellas. By golly, you better get it now. I've seen a couple of these things around. They seem like a decent tank. I don't have one, so I can't really comment on it. It is basically an upgraded 416 with a 390 Alpha bigger gun, and seems to have a pretty good soft stat situation with the gun. Not really as bad as most. Say that T-34-3, where that big 122 is very wonky. This one is supposed to be much better. The STA-2 is in the shop. Get it, fellas. 21 hours or it's gone. Full Berlin Quartet. We've talked about this in the past. Realize with that you get that zero skill Brothers in Arms crew, which basically means your first skill that you train counts as your first skill, even though you've already got Brothers in Arms on the guys. So it's a zero skill Brothers in Arms crew. If you purchase one of these or the full set and you already have the tanks, you get the gold and the crew members. So realize that is in there. I believe you also get the slots that come with it. People will do that. They need gold and they want the crew member. They'll just buy that tank, and if you've got it in the garage, you get the gold equivalent. This will play into the chicanery section that we're talking about on the next section here. So here they are separately. You can buy these guys all separately here. 21 hours left for that. Thunderbolt's still around. Again, 14 days on that for the hard sell. By golly, you better do it now. This is pretty cool down here. This Project Remembrance. You can get 10 or 3 of these little inscriptions on there. And what happens is 100%, you go here to their page, and it says 100% of the proceeds will go to the National Desert Storm War Memorial Association. So good on them. I like that. There's the little inscription that you get right there. So if you feel like doing essentially what's a donation and throwing a couple of those on your tank, go ahead and do so. Thanks to LP who gifted me a section of this. I do appreciate that. I have them on some of my tanks now, and it's very cool that the money went somewhere cool like that. So, right on. And that brings us to the chicanery of the week. Alrighty, on to the chicanery. Which, to be fair, is not exactly chicanery, but it is a bit of goofiness that Wargaming once again steps on their own schwanz in a customer service standpoint. This is off Rita's blog. Life in Black wrote this headline: WGNA refuses to honor own policy now with extra shadiness. All right, here's what happened. Avalon 304 entered a contest, which was the classics contest, and you were supposed to put a comment on what tank you thought was a classic. And they picked a bunch of winners, or a handful of winners. And the classics were the T-34, the Low, and the IS-6. There's a list of winners. Avalon 304 is one of them. Avalon 304 has a lot of tanks. He sends a note to them and says, hey, I have these tanks. I'm assuming I will get the gold. I should be compensated those, or whatever. And they come back and said, yeah, sort of. Because what they say is, there was an error because you already had the tanks. Because he's wondering, hey, where's my gold? Send me a list of some tanks you've been considering buying. I can take them back and check. No mention of the gold. Okay. Would have been a nice one right there to go, hey, our policy is that we don't give out gold. This will be important later. Because is it? All right, he comes back and says, well, no, most of the tanks I already have that I want. I already have most of the tanks that I want, but hey, here's 3, and I realize 3 of them, or at least 2 of them, are kind of specialized Clan Rewards tanks, so, but I'll throw it out there. Can I get these? Fair enough. Fair play. You asked. You never know till you ask, right? The ISU 130 and the Chieftain T95. Even the T44 100 was kind of a prize, not kind of a prize, it was a prize tank on a mission a few months back, maybe half a year, whatever it was. And he says, all right, I understand I might not get these, but hey, I'll just take the gold if that's fine with you. If I can't have these, I'll take the gold. All right, we'll take a look. And that's what Bunny with Glasses says. I will ask the question. Fair enough. So we're all right. This is good. We got a customer service thing going on there. A little bit concerning that the gold thing wasn't discussed at all, which becomes an issue. So they come back and say, hey, congrats on winning. We have a counter offer. Now we're into negotiations. You can't have the 3 you wanted, but we'll give you 1 that you wanted, an STA-2 and a Mutz or Schwarzpanzer. Okay, fair enough. He comes back and says, well, I actually own the STA-2. Oh, come on, Wargaming. Did you not look at his list? Did you just pick 3 random tanks that you would be happy to give him? Just, what was the criteria then if you're actually picking a tank he already has? And then he says, hey, that's fine, but I'll be getting gold for the STA-2 since I already own it, right? And right here it says, I see nothing with expecting that Wargaming honor their existing compensation policy, and the plot thickens. The plot thickens. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to offer either the gold or the clan reward tanks. Clan reward tanks, completely understand. Got it. Noted. The gold thing is interesting. I can do the T-44 plus credit compensation for the other 2, or you can choose other non-clan rewarded tanks. Please let me know. Okay, T-44 and credit compensation for the other 2. And he comes back and says, hey, I'm a pretty reasonable person. Here's a link to your policy. I would like to just get the credit for the 3 tanks because, oh, by the way, those 3 tanks are some of the most expensive ones in the game. So you wanted the gold for them, essentially, at this point. All right, so negotiations are beginning to break down. We have a failure to communicate here. All right, now we get back to, hey, Avalon, that is no longer the standard procedure for contests. I get pretty strict rules on what I am allowed to offer, and I try to stick to it. Well, I don't think you should try to stick to it. If it's a rule, you should stick to it. But this is the problem, because Avalon digs up that link, and I'm going to show it to you here because they actually show it as the second one here in this article. But if you look at it, the link that Avalon sent to, what was the name? I think we're talking to somebody new now, Cabbage Mechanic. The link he sent to him had this policy on the support page. And when you get down here, there are still transactions that will compensate the player gold instead of credits. Winning a premium tank in a live event, Twitch stream, player gathering, social media, etc. Which seems like that would be covered right there. If you come up here, the policy was, and I think everyone knew this, the on-track missions has been long gone. We haven't got gold for on-track missions for a long time. Events via any other mission, daily login, month-long missions, things like that. Well, that's actually not true either, because I'm still getting gold for tanks I get on the daily or month-long missions, right? The login missions that we've been talking about, tankrewards.com. It's not actually specifically mentioned in here what tankrewards.com is. Is it social media? Is it down here? Is it actually a daily login month-long mission? Well, yeah, it pretty much is. And we're still getting gold for those tanks. That's interesting. They seem to be award tanks. So this was the link that he sent. Well, Cabbage Mechanic, or somebody, let me not cast aspersions at anyone in Wargaming, quickly modified their support page and deleted that little section there that said he could get gold as a policy of Wargaming. The claim then was, as you dig through this, that, hey, that always was our policy, or has been for many months, and that was just a mistake right there. Well, Wargaming, here's the thing. You've said F in church at that point, right? And a customer has won a contest. You were going to give him 3 very expensive tanks to the tune of whatever it is, $120 worth of tanks, maybe more. He found on your support page a place where you forgot to update your policy. And quite frankly, your policy is not clear anyway, because I'm still getting gold for what is essentially daily login and month-long missions. And then you did a little back and forth, which is fine. You're trying to sort it out with a customer. But you could have easily fixed this halfway through this whole affair. So is this another Fochgate? No, it's not even close to the level of that. Is it another little stab in the eye, that piece of sand in the corner of your eye as you're trying to play this game that's just irritating the hell out of you, but it's not really stopping you, but you're like, Wargaming, why do you do these things? Oh man. So this is they've sorted this thing out, I believe, with Avalon, and nobody's ready to get the pitchforks and torches, although it started to pretty quickly gin up until the rest of the story came out when to his credit, Cabbage Mechanic came onto the forums and several other places and discussed, hey, here's the full story of what's going on. And that's great. That's all fine. And eventually they got it sorted out, but it just didn't need to get there. And frankly, your policy, whatever the hell it is still not clear. Still not exactly clear. Anyway, so there you go. Chicanery of the week. Not really chicanery, but as I said, that little minor irritant. Unreal. All right, well, that is it for Coffee Talk. Just a real quick one today as I get ready to batten down the hatches for Hurricane Irma. We talked about the Chinese TDs overview. I will be bringing you specific reviews of each one of those from Tier 5 and up. So look out for those. I will continue my work on my map room tactics as well. We'll add another map here pretty soon. Today we got into the Chinese TDs on the overview. Like I said, we talked a bit about the missions and some of the funny stuff that goes on with the way they have those set up in their missions tab. A little bit about the specials that are out there, things you might want to consider buying, or some of the things that go along with that. And then pretty in-depth on what I called the chicanery of the week. Just another example of stuff that just didn't need to happen. Just did not need to happen. All right. Hope you guys have a good one. If you are in the path of Irma, take care. Keep your head down and all that good stuff. Make yourself some hot coffee. As always, we will see you.